Hello, I am Scooby Horror. Get ready to relax. Let me know what time you are watching this video and where you are from in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. Now sit back and enjoy the story. Long before Elena ever set foot in the village of Greymoor, before the house was painted over and the for sale sign stuck in the garden, there was a boy. His name was Tom. He lived in that same little house at the edge of the woods, a modest place with yellowed curtains and chipped bricks, surrounded by pine trees that whispered secrets when the wind was high. The boy was 6, quiet, skittish, always listening, always watching the walls. On his final night, Tom crawled into bed with his stuffed bear, one ear torn. Rain tapped the roof like fingernails on a coffin. His mother had just kissed him goodnight when he turned to her and whispered, "He says he wants to come out now." She paused, confused. "Who, sweetheart?" Tom pointed to the wall beside his bed. "The boy, inside." The next morning, the bed was empty. Tom was never found, and the house never stayed sold for long. Elena drove into Greymoor under the cloak of a heavy gray sky, the kind that seems to press down on the earth like a blanket. The village looked pleasant enough. Quaint cottages, a post office, a pub called the Silver Stag. She was starting a 3-month contract at the rural health clinic and needed somewhere quick and cheap to stay. An older nurse at the clinic, Marianne, mentioned the house on the edge of the woods. "It's fully furnished," she said, avoiding eye contact. "Cheap, too. You'll have space to yourself." "Why so cheap?" Elena asked. Marianne hesitated. "It's just been empty a while. Don't worry, it's perfectly livable." The house was cleaner than she expected. Fresh paint, modern appliances, even flowers in the window boxes. The living room had a smell of lemon polish and old dust, but nothing unpleasant. Still, something felt off, like the air carried an old echo. That night, as Elena unpacked her last box, her phone buzzed with a text from Marianne. "Don't let the taps bother you. Just ignore them." Elena frowned. Taps? The first day passed without incident. Elena made tea, explored the woods a little, and read by the window as the rain rolled in. It was peaceful. At bedtime, she tucked herself under the thick duvet and let her mind drift. Outside, rain tapped gently on the glass, and the wind moved through the trees in long, mournful sighs. Then, at 2:13 a.m., she woke. No thunder, no nightmare, just awake. Then she heard it. Tap, tap, tap. Software methodical. Somewhere near the hallway. She blinked, unsure if it was real. The tapping stopped. She waited. Minutes passed. Nothing. "Old houses make sounds," she muttered, and pulled the blanket up. The next morning, she found a strange smudge on the wall near the hallway. Low down, almost child height. She ran her fingers over it. Greasy, like the print of small fingers. She scrubbed it off and went about her day. That night, she went to bed earlier, exhausted. At exactly 2:13 a.m., her eyes snapped open again. Tap, tap, tap. Now closer, just behind her bedroom wall. This time she got up. She opened the bedroom door and peered down the dark hallway. The tapping had stopped. She flipped the hallway light on. The bulb flickered, then held. No sound. Just before turning back to bed, she thought she heard breathing, faint, raspy, right behind the wall. She pressed her ear to it. Nothing. The next day, she told herself it was just her imagination, fatigue from travel and the new job. But when she mentioned it casually to a patient at the clinic, an old man with rheumy eyes looked up sharply. "Which house are you in, miss?" she told him. His expression hardened. "They shouldn't have covered it." "What?" He leaned in. There was a space behind the walls. An old room. For hiding. She tried to press him, but he clammed up after that. That night, she tried to sleep downstairs on the sofa. At 2:13 a.m., the lamp flickered out. Tap, 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 from inside the sofa. Elena tore the couch cushions apart. Nothing. She went to the wall and knocked. Solid. But her fingers brushed something strange. The wallpaper was thicker in one spot, just beside the bookshelf. She peeled a section back. A faint seam. A hidden panel. Heart racing, she retrieved a flashlight and kitchen knife and started scraping. After minutes of delicate work, the blade caught on something. A latch. It popped open with a click. Behind it, a crawl space. Small. Barely big enough for a child. Dust danced in the beam of her torch. A rotting stuffed animal lay inside, torn, molded. One black button eye stared back. She backed away. From inside, something whispered, "I heard you." Elena didn't sleep that night. The whisper had been clear, too clear to be her imagination. By morning, she tried to rationalize it. Sleep deprivation, stress, perhaps even carbon monoxide. But the detector she installed blinked green. The house was fine. Still, the whisper echoed. At the clinic, she confided in Marianne. "There's a space behind the wall," Elena said cautiously. "I found a stuffed toy. It smelled awful. And I heard something. A voice." Marianne went pale. "Don't go poking in there," she said quietly. "That house, there was a boy, years ago, vanished without a trace, lived there with his mom. Then one night, gone." Elena leaned forward. "What was his name?" Marianne frowned. "Tom, I think. Or maybe—" She paused, struggling. "Isn't it strange? I can't remember." Others in the village were the same. When asked, they grew quiet, confused. No one had a photo. No one remembered Tom's last name. It was as if the boy had never existed. But every night, the taps came, and they were growing louder. On the fourth night, Elena stayed up late with a bottle of wine and a flashlight. She couldn't stop thinking about the crawl space. At 2:13 a.m., the tapping began again, but not just from one wall, from all around her. Tap, 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 tap. She stood in the center of the living room, heart thudding. The sound circled her, walls, ceiling, floor. It was as if something were walking through the bones of the house. Then, silence. She stepped to the wall, flashlight in hand. Again, she felt the urge to peel. The wallpaper was oddly smooth, painted over in broad, rushed strokes. She picked at it until she uncovered a faint outline of a small door. A door that had been sealed tight with nails and caulk. Someone had buried it alive. And now, whatever was on the other side, wanted out. That night, Elena didn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she felt watched. She began documenting everything, videos, photos, recordings of the tapping. But the strange thing was, nothing ever showed. The sounds never made it onto the tape. Her phone would glitch or refuse to record. She tried to sleep with earbuds in, music, white noise, anything to block the sounds, but nothing helped. At 2:13 a.m., the earbuds slipped out, and she heard it again, this time, louder. This time, with a voice so close she felt the warmth of it on her neck. "Elena, please, let me out." She ran. She drove to the edge of town and slept in her car near the petrol station. She told herself she'd find a new place in the morning. But when she woke, the passenger door was unlocked. And on the dashboard, in childlike handwriting, someone had scrawled, "You left me." Elena returned to the house only to pack. She wanted to leave the key and never look back. But something made her pause. In the daylight, the house didn't feel threatening, just sad. She pulled up floorboards near the old crawl space. Beneath the joists, she found fragments. A rusted toy car, a drawing of a stick figure with hollow eyes, a broken crayon labeled Tommy, and a small notebook, water-damaged but still legible. Inside were entries from a child. Short, simple thoughts. He watches me sleep. Mommy said not to open the door. He taps when I'm alone. He says we're the same. The final page was blank, except for 3 smeared fingerprints. Small, child-sized. At nightfall, Elena stayed. Not out of courage, but desperation. The thing had followed her once. Maybe it always would. So she set up a camera and left it filming the crawl space door. She lay in bed, clutching a flashlight like a weapon. At 2:13 a.m., the power went out. She sat upright, breath held. From the hallway came a new sound. Not tapping. Breathing. Heavy. Wet. Struggling. Then, something moved. She grabbed the flashlight and crept out of bed. The crawl space door hung open. Something had come out and left the toy bear in her doorway, its one good eye staring. Elena closed the crawl space and nailed it shut again. She left the house for a motel in the next town. But on the second night, it found her. At 2:13 a.m., she woke to the sound. Tap, 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 from the headboard. She pressed her hand to the wood, and a voice whispered from behind it, "This wall is thinner." She screamed. The motel staff found her packing at 3 a.m. She returned to Graymore with a new plan. She wouldn't run. She would dig. She would find whatever had been sealed inside and end it. Elena began her search in the attic. Dust thickened with age coated everything, but the silence was expectant. She found an old chest beneath moth-eaten sheets. Inside, newspaper clippings, family photos, and at the bottom, a small brass key. Old, cold, heavy in her hand. Taped to the underside of the lid was a photograph, black and white, creased at the corners. A boy with a wide smile. Missing front tooth. Holding a stuffed bear. The name Tommy, age 6, was scrawled on the back. Something had tried to erase him from memory. But not everything could be buried. That night, Elena returned to the crawl space. This time, she used the key. With a hesitant click, a second panel swung open, revealing a narrow, vertical shaft. Stale air rushed out like a gasp. She squeezed inside with her flashlight. It led to a small chamber. Wooden beams, child-sized mattress, drawings on the walls, etched in pencil, stick figures, one always blacked out, and on the far side, a mirror, cracked, dusty. Elena wiped it clean and saw a boy standing behind her. She spun around. Nothing. But the mirror? He was still there, watching. She returned to the surface, trembling. That night, she set up mirrors all over the house. Each one showed her alone, until 2:13 a.m. Then, flickers. Movement in reflections, long fingers brushing glass, a shape darting just out of frame. She stared into the living room mirror. Her own reflection stared back. Then, smiled. She hadn't. Behind her, the room was empty. But in the mirror, a boy stepped into view. He placed a hand on her shoulder. Her reflection didn't flinch. Elena moved the mirrors to the garage, covered them with sheets, but she began seeing him elsewhere, in her phone's dark screen, in the TV, even unplugged, in puddles after rain, always at 2:13. He didn't speak now, just watched. But her dreams, they were full of whispering. A chorus of children, all whispering the same phrase, "We were never let out." Elena began waking up in strange places, on the porch, in the hallway, once with dirt under her fingernails. One night, she woke in the kitchen holding a hammer. The crawl space door was open again. She watched surveillance footage. At 2:13 a.m., she stood up from bed, eyes closed, and walked backwards into the hallway, into the shadows. She never remembered doing it. She tried leaving again, drove miles out of town, slept in her car on a back road. But at 2:13, the radio came on by itself, crackling. A child's voice whispered, "Elena?" Then the tapping started, from inside the glove box. She opened it. Just the stuffed bear. But now it had 2 button eyes. Elena stopped sleeping. Her eyes went red, skin pale, mind unraveling. The house felt alive, walls breathing, lights dimming when she passed. One morning, thick fog clung to the lawn. She saw children in it, dozens, silent, watching her. One raised a hand, waved. And she remembered something. She had lived in Graymore as a child. Had she? Had she known Tom? Even when she left the house, the tapping followed. In the clinic, in the pub, in the forest. People avoided her now. The old man she'd first questioned passed her in the shop and muttered, "You let it out. You let him out." Back home, every wall had been scratched. Not with fingernails, but words. "I remember you now. You heard me first. Why didn't you help?" Elena set up the mirror from the crawl space again. At 2:13, she stood before it. "No more hiding," she said aloud. The boy appeared. He stepped forward, hand raised. "Why didn't you let me out?" he whispered. Tears ran down her cheeks. "I didn't know you were there." "You did," he said. "When you were little. You heard me tapping. You told your mom." Elena staggered. Memories rushed in, herself as a girl, staying in this very house, hearing the taps, being told to stop lying, told it was the wind. The guilt hit like a wave. "I'm sorry," she whispered. She took the hammer and returned to the hidden room. This time, she didn't hesitate. She broke the mirror. Behind it, another wall, thin wood. She smashed through it and found a second crawl space. Inside, bones, tiny, wrapped in rotting sheets. A child's skeleton, a name carved above it in childlike writing. Tommy. And beside it, dozens of names. Dozens of tiny bones. Dozens of children, sealed away. She screamed until her throat bled. As she backed out of the crawl space, her flashlight sputtered. Then she heard something new. A second voice. Deeper. Cruel. "You let him out," it said. "But you never asked who put him in." The air turned freezing. From the darkness crawled a long figure, tall, thin, eyeless. "Tommy wasn't alone," it whispered. "They fed me. You brought me back." Elena was never seen again. The house was condemned, but sometimes lights flicker on at 2:13 a.m. Locals say they hear 2 sets of taps now. One soft, one heavy. And behind the boarded windows, children's laughter rises and falls like a tide. If you're ever near Graymore, and the wind starts whispering, don't knock, because something might knock back. Thank you for listening. Sweet dreams, and good night.